Welcome back to Hawkeye Skunk Works. In today's episode, we are going to talk about what worked, what didn't work on the trail as far as suspension, skid plates, rock sliders. We're going to talk about things that broke. Just an idler pulley, which isn't really a big deal. But before we talk about any of that, we need to pull this thing outside, wash it, so we can take all of that body armor off, because it is our daily driver and we don't need to be lugging all of that weight around all the time. I built it so it could come off easy, get installed easy. We're not going to be wheeling for a while, and we'll just have a better look at some of the carnage. Also, Mrs. HSW, although she enjoys driving the built rig around town with all the stuff on it, all the mud, she did tell me she's starting to get some very peculiar looks in the preschool pickup line, like she's got some strange disease or something. Okay, she didn't say that about the disease part. I added that. Love you, honey. We are going to do something that has never been done before. The cheapest third-gen Toyota 4Runner in the entire country. Welcome back to Hawkeye Skunk Works, where I have bought another 4Runner. Seriously.
It just got deep.
Ruh-roh.
Dad, everything is blowing!
Well, we finally got unstuck. That was a little ridiculous. Alright, so washing the car took way too long. Apparently that dried on Tennessee mud does not like to come off. So, let's jump right into it. I've got the front skid plate sitting down here. Let's take a look. So this is the front skid plate. This is where I'm mounted in the front, going towards the back of the car. As you can kind of see here, at least I'm going to try to show you, there's a dent right here. I rolled up onto a ledge, and then I had to back down and make a tighter turn, and when I came down, at least that's what I think that's from, I hit that and it dented it a little bit. You can kind of see, you know, it's hard to come out on camera. So when I unbolted it, it kind of like sprang out, because when I hit this, it kind of took some of the bend out of it. And I completely 100% expected that. I hit both skid plates a couple times, and I'll show the other one. So it was the first time I had taken the 4Runner off-roading, serious wheeling. And so I've been explaining it to people, like, the things that I hit I could have missed, and like on the third day I don't think I tagged anything. It's like if you go spend the night somewhere you're not familiar, and you get up in the middle of the night, you go to the bathroom or whatever, you don't know where any of the light switches are. You're feeling around, but on the second night, the third night, same thing. You get up, you can walk right to those light switches. So I just had to learn kind of the underneath of my car, and so part of it was just kind of me just going for it, trying to miss the big stuff, and then letting the chips fall where they may, kind of on the rest of it. So something that I want to do next with this thing, second iteration, I want to eliminate the factory skid plates underneath. I think I can probably tuck this up and get another solid inch of ground clearance out of it, so I'm gonna have to experiment with that. I would really like to experiment with a way to weld aluminum with my MIG welder. And again, how this hit and kind of flexed out a little bit and opened up, I 100% expected that, like I said, because there's no gusseting in the back of this. I think if I had even like a piece of channel aluminum in here welded as a support, that probably wouldn't have happened. If I had cut some tabs into the side here and then 90-degree bent those up, especially down here, and then welded the seam where they met, kind of how I did on the sides of my transmission skid plate, it wouldn't have flexed like that and it wouldn't have been out. But other than that, completely happy with it. If I'd have been more careful and, you know, just really careful, I probably wouldn't have hit it at all. So also, side note, part of that I think is because of my spring rate, but I'm going to do a separate video doing the overview of the Tacoma suspension and the next set of plans on that. So let me grab the rear skid plate, or the transmission transfer case skid plate, and we'll take a look at what happened to that. Here's the trailing edge, the back edge of the skid plate. Here's where it's notched to fit where the gas tank was. If you look here, got a little ding from a rock there, and you can see some scuffs. This is bent a little bit, but it was bent already a little bit beforehand, just because this piece of aluminum was not perfect. Let me set it here, and then you can kind of see how it's kind of bent like this right here. That was not like that. One time I was going over some rocks and I did hit rock, obviously, which is I think what that corner, the scrape on the corner is from. And then another time we were on a really narrow trail, and it was dirt now because it was dry, and it had deep tire ruts in it, and then went up a crest and then over a crest, and I knew I was probably going to slide the belly pan across because I had to drive in the ruts. There was literally, there was no track that I could take the high side, if you will. And so I think that is probably how that got bent, because as you see right here where those two holes are, that's where the rear cross member went. And so it held perfectly fine up until where that cross member was, and then the vehicle started to go over the crest, and this rear lip where it wasn't really supported is what bent. Now, I knew, or I assumed, there was a very good chance that that was going to happen. I could have cut this flush with the back of that cross member, but this gives me a couple more inches to protect that rear output yoke on the transfer case. So no big deal at all. I think what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna notch this on each side a little bit, take it back to where I had it bent, and see if we can take this little bit past where it bolts and do like a 45-degree bend, and then I'm gonna brace it to that cross member, and then hopefully eventually weld in some aluminum bracing. So that cross member held up perfectly. Even that piece of angle iron where these are bolted to, no bends. So that is completely strong enough. I think if we just take this and bend it up a little bit, because that is a really long piece of real estate when you're going over a crest. So that's the idea behind there. If I can get that taken care of, I think I'll probably mount that up and just leave it all the time. And my rock sliders, they're sitting outside. I hit my driver's side rock slider one time, and it wasn't even on a rock. It was on a tree stump. Again, we were on a really narrow trail. Not a tree stump, a log. It was a tree trunk had fallen, and it was diagonal across the trail about into the middle of the trail. And right on the passenger side of the trail was a drop off for the side of the mountain, and there was like a big like a big mud pit rut that was still retaining water and mud right on the outside of the trail, and then it just dropped off. So what I didn't want to happen was put my front tire, my driver's side tire, up on that log, slide down, drop my passenger side front tire into that hole, because I would have had to get pulled out one way or another. So when I went over it, I goosed it and used the skinny pedal a little bit, just a very little bit, so I could get up and over quickly. And when I came back down, again, front springs might be a little bit too soft. It came down and just barely kissed that log. Maybe it wouldn't even have touched the car at all had the slider not been there. That's one of those things. Maybe I wouldn't have hit my skid plates if the skid plates weren't there. So that's always something to wonder, but who cares. The rock sliders, strength wise, you know, I stood on both of them all weekend, or all week and a half, getting stuff out of the roof box. They, you know, the 3 bolts holding them on seemed to do perfectly fine. When I took them all off, nothing seemed to have been bent or misplaced or anything. So yeah, so far so good on those. I think what I will do before I put them on next time though is redo these backing plates. Instead of just having the 1.5-inch plates, I think I am going to cut up some 1/4-inch plate and make some actual like 4x6 plates, just to spread that load out on the inside of the frame rail. So as you saw, I think I got a little dirty water up into that idler pulley, and it was still functioning. When I pulled it off the motor, that's what it looked like. It was making horrible noise, but it was still functioning, believe it or not. That was only like 2 or 3 months old, and it had coil bearings in it, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But we got that changed. Didn't take very long at all. No big deal. And we made it home. What I need to do now is roll the car back in and crawl up underneath and show you one more thing. This is my passenger side lower control arm mount. This is the frame mount. As you can hopefully see, I did encounter a little rock here, which this is completely, again, normal. For these Forerunners, this mount hangs down below the frame, and yeah, again, not surprised that I made contact with the rock here. You can see I definitely ground down these front corners. Actually, this back lip was bent out just a hair, and I hit it with a hammer and bent it back in. Looks like I might be able to bend this one back a little bit if it needs it. So the skid plates that go over here, usually it's just a piece of steel that comes down here to the front of this bushing, and then it wraps up the sides. And yeah, I don't think it would be too hard for me to make some templates, cut out some steel, weld them on. I don't see any reason why not to weld them on. You know, if you guys can think of a good reason not to weld them on, just make sure that I leave enough room to pull this control arm out if I ever need to replace it or replace the bushings. But again, that's an easy fix, and that is definitely going to be a must before we head out on our next wheeling trip. Alright, y'all, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully it answered some questions you may have had from the past videos of me building the skid plates and the rock sliders and the suspension. Again, we're going to cover the suspension in the next video, because lots of good information there, I feel, and I'm going to need some input from you guys for the next step. So I hope you enjoyed the ATR video. Obviously, we had a blast, and obviously, if you spent any time doing off-roading, filming off-roading, videotaping off-roading, it always looks easier in the video than it did in real life. So let's just get that out of the way. And also, the third day that we were there, the wheeling, I didn't film any at all, because it was definitely by far the most difficult that we did, and I just wanted to enjoy myself and focus on the task at hand. So if you enjoyed these videos, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button give the video a thumbs up, turn on those notifications so you'll get a little alert every time that I upload a new video, and you won't even have to go looking for it. So until next time, head on over to Instagram, head on over to Facebook, follow me over there, daily posts on those besides the videos. So until next time, thank you for watching, take care, goodbye.